And as I said last time, I'm going to talk just a little bit before we meditate about the energy of this particular cycle. So we're entering into spring now, where everything is coming alive. And in our tradition, it's a really significant time of year. So we have this understanding that from this unified field of pure consciousness, unbounded pure consciousness, comes the relative field of existence. Field of existence where there is boundaries, where we see order, where there is beginning and end to things, right? So the building blocks of formation, as we see it within ourselves and all around us, from this formless unified field of consciousness, according to our tradition, are these energies, these vibrational energies of the 22 letters. They're the building blocks of formation. And in Hebrew we have a word for wheel. It's called, what? Galgal, right? Galgal, or galgalim, are the wheels of energy that these building blocks are formed with. So as the formless becomes form and order begins, there are cycles, and we can see it in nature. It's obvious to us. It's not just some wild concept. There's cycles in the day, right? Sun rises, it's morning time. The sun sets, it's evening time. The spring comes, and it's a cycle. And in this cycle, we see things starting to come to life all around us. The flowers are starting to come out of the ground. The trees, the leaves are turning green again. And so we go from this cycle of the winter, the deepest part of winter where we're sort of asleep, to a new birth in the springtime. And this new birth is not just around us in nature, it's also within us. So all of these cycles are opportunities for transformation for us, higher consciousness. So we leave behind a lower state of consciousness, and we have a greater, a higher state of consciousness. And the cycle of the 12 months, or the wheels of the 12 months, each have a unique energy that represent this opportunity for transformation. And how do we have the transformation? We're well drillers, right? So we close our eyes in our meditation and we drill down deep into that boundless pure consciousness. And as that boundless pure consciousness begins to integrate into our conscious thinking level, we have transformation. And that's really obvious in the springtime. So the spring, the first month of spring in the Hebrew calendar is Nisan. It's a lunar calendar, and that month is called Nisan. That foundational that I talked about, the foundational energy, vibration for that, for the month of, for the springtime, for the month of Nisan, is the letter Hey. The letter Hey. So all of these letters, there are names for the letters, right? So each letter actually has more sound vibration than the letter itself. It's the name of the letter, right? So the name of the letter Hey is a Hey and an Aleph. And this makes Hey, right? So Aleph represents that pure silence that's within us. And the Hey represents the receiver of that pure silence in formation, in the relative sphere of existence. So as we meditate and draw into that pure silence and experience it, we experience it with this container that is the Hey. And the Hey actually means behold. So imagine ourselves now in a new state of consciousness, being sort of reborn in a higher state of consciousness, and we behold this new state of consciousness like an epiphany, like a rebirth with our senses, the sense of sight. So we see it. So our spiritual sense of sight, or we could say our third eye, or whatever language you like to use, is awakened in springtime. Just like we see all of this awakening around us. We're awakened to a higher state of consciousness. So it's no accident that in the tradition, in the Hebrew tradition, we celebrate the Passover during the time of Nisan. The Passover really, in a spiritual sense, is more than just a memory of being freed slaves from the Egyptian Pharaoh. It's about, like Barb Marley said, redemption from mental slavery. So we enslave ourselves sometimes, but when we go to a higher state of consciousness, we let go of that judgment and rigidity that enslaved us in the older state of consciousness. Now we're in a higher state of consciousness. It's a rebirth. That experience happens just simply from going within, drilling down into that pure consciousness. So as we do that as a group, which we're going to do in a moment, we experience diving into that sea, diving into the wells of Miriam, as they say, into that sea, and it comes out, and the ripple effect goes beyond our bodies to one another, beyond our limited experience here to society as a whole. So we create more peace and more harmony and newness and higher consciousness in the atmosphere around us. We call the ripple effect. So let's, without further ado, begin the practice of meditation here and everywhere. And we use these three tools. We use some breathing technique, and I'll guide us through that. And then we're going to articulate. Everyone here has been initiated in You Are My meditation. So we all have a letter that we use. We'll articulate that letter. Some people on the live stream may have not been. Just I suggest you use the letter Hey today for the energy of this month. And get a hold of us for an initiation into the actual practice. That would be great. So we do this all with our eyes closed, and we drill deep within ourselves, okay? So let's close our eyes. Let's inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now we're going to take a little longer between breaths. Let's inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, this time on the exhale, we're going to say our letter. Let's inhale. Say the letter. 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 Okay, let's return to normal breathing. And just gently and effortlessly begin to think the letter internally. Thoughts come and go, feelings come and go. We surrender to all things that are happening. And we remember we're not thinking the letter. We just gently and effortlessly return to it. I'm meditating like this for about 15 minutes. But don't worry, I'll keep track of the time and bring us out of our meditation. let's take a few minutes to slowly come out of our meditation and gradually open our eyes. So that was easy for everyone? You feel some quietness and silence, restfulness, restful alertness. Any questions? So I think there might have been some confusion timing-wise for the streaming people. You can always, if you tuned in late, you can always go back to the video stream on YouTube and just see the beginning or whatever. So it's celebration time. So we're going to go eat. Thanks everybody for coming. This is really great. Really appreciate it. So let's go eat.